Okay, so today we're going to finish up section 1, so 2.1b. Today we're going to write equations of lines. So we're still going to be using the same things that we talked about in 2.1a, the slope-intercept, y equals mx plus b. We'll be talking about point slope, and we'll also be using standard form. So when we want to write or find the equation of the line, when you're given the slope and the y-intercept, all you need to do is plug in the m and the b and you're done. If you're given the slope in an ordered pair or a point, we have two options here. We can either plug it into point slope form, which is the y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1, then solve for y by distributing and combining like terms. Or option 2, plug in the point into y equals mx plus b, find the b, and then plug everything back into it again. Whenever you're given two ordered pairs or 2 points, we'll first have to find the slope first using the slope formula, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Then we can take either point, it doesn't matter which, and plug it back in using one of the options above. Either plug it into point slope or to slope intercept. When you're doing the web assign tonight, all answers should be in slope intercept form unless they say otherwise. So let's go ahead and take a look at some examples. So the first one, I'm given the slope and the y-intercept. So all I need to do is take my slope, which is 3. I'm going to be plugging it into y equals mx plus b. All I'm going to do is remove the m and remove the b and put in those two numbers. So y equals 3x plus 5. That's simple. Now, when you're given an ordered pair, we have two options. We can either plug it into y equals mx plus b or plug it into point slope. And I can show you both ways on this one. So for example, if I want to go ahead and just use the y equals mx plus b form, I'm going to replace the ordered pair as my x and my y. And remember, the slope is your m. So I'm going to replace y with 5, the m with -2, the x with 4, and then I'm solving for the b. So I'm going to multiply -2 times 4. I get -8. I'm going to now add the 8. And my y-intercept is 13. That's my b. Now I can just take the slope and the y-intercept that I just found. And my equation is y equals -2x plus 13. That's one method. Actually, I'll show you the point slope method with the next one, just to show you that you could do either one on this. Yes? Yes. Okay, next one. Now, if you're using point slope, this ordered pair is going to be your x1, y1. So the ordered pair that's given to you, it's either an x and a y if you're using slope intercept, but if it's point slope, it's going to be your x1, y1. So just make sure you keep those straight. So I'm going to plug it into point slope this time. Remember, the point slope form is y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. So let me come over here to the side. So my y1 is 2. So y minus 2 equals 2/3, that's my slope, 2/3 times x minus, and be careful here, it's a minus minus. So in the parentheses here, this is actually going to turn into a 2/3 and then parentheses x plus 1. So when your ordered pair is a negative number, be careful because the subtraction sign is part of the equation. So then now, again, web assign is going to want y equals mx plus b. So I need to distribute and combine like terms if I use point slope. Now, if the question said, leave your answer in point slope form, this is how you would leave the answer. However, on WebAssign, it's going to say slope-intercept. So what we're going to do is distribute the 2/3. 2/3 times x and 2/3 times 1. And then next I need to move the 2 to the other side. Now, WebAssign will accept. Notice both of these are the same sign, so I could just put it in here as 2 and 2/3. However, if you wanted to do 2/3 plus and do a common denominator, I could change the 2 into 6/3, and then this would become 8/3. So WebAssign will also accept an improper fraction or a mixed number. So either answer here is acceptable for slope-intercept. Now, you could have also done this third example using y equals mx plus b. I don't care how you get your equation, whether you start out using point slope or you start out using slope-intercept. Just make sure your answer is in the final format. So let's try the next one. Now this time I'm given 2 order pairs. I need to calculate the slope first. Remember your slope formula, y2 minus y1, x2 minus x1. This is going to give me my m, which is my slope. So I'm going to say that this is going to be my x1, y1, and this will be my x2, y2. It really doesn't matter. You're going to get the same answer either way. So I'm going to do 6 minus 4 over 5 minus 2. 6 minus 4 is 2. 5 minus 2 is 3. So the slope that I'm going to be using is 2/3. Now, to get it into slope-intercept form, I now can either plug it in to y equals mx plus b, find the b, and then plug it back into slope-intercept, or do point slope again. You're probably all familiar with y equals mx plus b, so let's work on point slope a little bit. So again, I'm going to plug in. I'm going to use this first order pair. It doesn't matter which one you use because we're going to be distributing and combining like terms, and my slope-intercept is going to be the same answer whether I use the 2, 4 as my order pair or the 5, 6. So y minus 4 equals 2/3 x minus 2. I need to distribute the 2/3. I get 2/3 x, and then when I multiply that, I get negative 4/3. I now need to move the 4 over. Y equals 2/3 x. Now my signs are different here. So I'm going to go ahead and find a common denominator here. So I'm going to do negative 4/3 plus 4 over 1. I need to make the 4 into a fraction with a denominator of 3. So I'm going to change it to 12/3. And now I can add negative 4 plus 12, and I get 8/3. Coincidentally enough, it was the same answer as above. Now, let's practice turning this. We also learned standard form. So this is the form I just left it in. This is slope-intercept form. Y equals mx plus b. If the instruction said to leave it in point slope, we would have stopped right here. If the question says put this thing now in standard form, remember standard form is going to be ax plus by equals c, no fractions, and the first number, the a, cannot be negative. So let's work on rearranging this one into standard form. First thing I'm going to do is get rid of my fractions. So I'm going to multiply everything by 3. So I'm going to distribute a 3 here, here, and here. So this will become 3y, 2x, plus 8. Now, standard form, I need to get x, y equals a number. So if I move the 2x over, I end up getting negative 2x plus 3y equals 8. Remember, this number can't be negative. So what I need to do is divide everything by negative 1 to make that 2x positive. So 2x minus 3y equals negative 8 would be the standard form of that equation. So I took those two order pairs, I turned my answer into standard form, slope-intercept form, and point slope. So just read questions carefully if they ever ask you for a specific form of the equation. Now, one other thing before I move on about horizontal and vertical lines, let's say the given information was this. Instead of number 1, where they just said m equals 3 and y-intercept equals 5, let's say instead they said given m equals 4 and through this order pair. If you realize that whenever you're given an order pair with a 0 first, this is my y-intercept. So you could go through the whole process of what I just did, plugging it into point slope and slope-intercept, or if you realize that the order pair you're given has a 0 first and then a number, that's your y-intercept. So all you need to do is do 4x plus 1. But you could go through the whole process of what I just did for questions 2, 3, and 4. But if you're ever given something like this and your point has a 0 first, that's your y-intercept. So just little tricks to help you out. Next, we're going to talk about horizontal and vertical lines. And then we're going to talk also about parallel and perpendicular. So again, this should have been taught to you in your geometry class, in your algebra 1 class, and probably in pre-algebra. So again, all of this continual review. And again, my geometry class just had a test on this. So let's keep going here. Everybody good? All right. So when they want you to find equations of the line, when you're given this type of information that you have a horizontal line passing through a specific ordered pair, remember a horizontal line has a slope of 0. And if it's going through that point, we know it's going to be a horizontal line through the y-axis at 7. So a horizontal equation is always going to be y equals a number, and that number is always going to be the y of the order pair that's given to you. Now, if you ever blank out, plot the order pair and draw a horizontal line through it, and you're going to see what the equation looks like. If it's a vertical line, remember your slope here is undefined. And it's going to be a vertical line through the x-axis, so it'll always be x equals, and it's going to be x equals a number, and that number is going to be the x value of your order pair. So vertical lines always are going to be x equals a number, and that number is the x value from the point that's given to you. Next, we're going to talk about parallel and perpendicular lines. So you should have already realized that parallel lines have the same slope, or slopes that are equal. Perpendicular have slopes that are opposite reciprocals. And what I mean by that is they're going to be opposite signs and then reciprocals. So for example, if I gave you a slope of 2/3, its opposite reciprocal would be negative, and flip it upside down, 3/2. If it's a whole number, let's say it's a 2, its opposite reciprocal would be 1/2 and then negative. So they're going to be opposite signs. If it starts out as being negative, let's say it's a -4, then the opposite reciprocal would be positive 1/4. Parallel, if I tell you the slope is 3, then the slope of the parallel line is going to be 3. So parallel lines have the same slope, perpendicular have opposite signs, and they're reciprocals. So let's try some examples of this. So in order to figure out how to write an equation that's parallel to this one and perpendicular, I need to find the slope of this line. Now, you can find the slope several different ways. You can either put it into y equals mx plus b, and then the number in front of x is your slope. You could find the intercepts and then do the slope formula. Another thing you can do is always take, if it's in standard form, the slope when it's in standard form is always going to be -a over b. So you could always just take your a and b, because this form is ax plus by equals c. You can just take, if you wanted to find the slope, if it was given in standard form, take the a and the b, put a over b, and then make it opposite sign. But I'm going to go ahead and practice rearranging this equation that's given to me, and I'm going to put it into y equals mx plus b form, just to practice. But I can show you both ways. So if I just took my a and b, my a here is 2, my b here is -3, and then if I put it into a over b and then make it opposite, negative, I'm going to find out that the slope is going to be positive 2 over 3. But let's go ahead and practice rearranging this. So I'm going to move the 2x over, equals -3y, -2x plus 5, divide everything by -3. Now in slope-intercept form, the equation that was given to me in standard form is now, sorry, let me hit the wrong thing. Yes. Okay, thank you. All right, so did you hear what I said about how I subtracted the 2x, and then now I'm dividing everything by -3. So then the y-intercept here is -5 over 3. So this is the standard form equation that was given to me, now written in slope-intercept form. The whole purpose of this was I needed to get this slope that was right here. And again, remember, another way that you could get the slope when it's in standard form is just take your a, divide it by b, and make it opposite sign, which is what I did here. My goal was just to get the slope. Now, for part A, I want an equation that's parallel to this one, but it's going through this point, the -2, or the +2, -1. So maybe I'll just do it over here to the side. So for part A, my slope that I'm using, because it's parallel, and it's the same slope as the equation that's given to me, and then the order pair I'm using is 2, -1. Now I'm going to do the same exact thing that I did for the first 4 examples. I'm going to do again. I can either plug this information into y equals mx plus b or into point slope. It doesn't matter. So let's go ahead and plug it in. I'll do this one with point slope, and then I'll do number 7, I'll do it with slope-intercept. So y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. This is my x1, y1, and again, 2/3 is my slope. So y minus, and be very careful with your negative. This will turn into a y plus 1, 2/3, and then x minus 2. Now, again, WebAssign's going to want slope-intercept form. so I need to distribute. If it said point slope, we would stop here. But I'm going to do slope-intercept, so I'm going to distribute. -4/3. I now need to subtract the 1. I'm going to change my 1, and I'm going to make it 3/3, so then I can subtract here. So then now what I'm going to be getting is y equals 2/3 x minus 7/3. So this is the equation that's parallel to the first one. Now I'm going to do perpendicular. So now what I'm going to do for part B is I'm going to take my slope and I'm going to make it opposite sign and reciprocal. So the slope I'm using is -3/2. Now what I need to do is still use the same order pair, and I'm going to still use the point slope form, and I'm going to replace. The only thing I'm changing now is the m, because this is perpendicular slope. So y, and I'll put it in as minus minus, so it becomes y plus 1, -3/2 times x minus 2. Again, we'll distribute. -3/2x. The 2's will cancel, and this just becomes a +3 when I distribute that. Now I just move the 1. Y equals -3/2x plus 2. And this is my perpendicular equation. So upside down T represents perpendicular. 2 straight lines is the symbol for parallel. Now I'm going to do the same thing on number 7. I'm going to rearrange my equation into y equals mx plus b. Then I'm going to plug in the point and then solve it. I'm going to actually, instead of using point slope on number 7, I'm going to use y equals mx plus b, just to show you you have options. So for number 7, I need to take my equation that's given to me, the 5x minus 3y equals 8. I need to find the slope of this line. So I'm going to put it into y equals mx plus b. Again, it's in standard form. You can still do the -a/b if you wish. -5x plus 8. Divide everything by -3. And the slope-intercept form of this is going to be y equals +5/3 x minus 8/3. Now, the only thing I'm taking from this rearranged equation is the slope. So this is my m that I'm using for my parallel line. For my perpendicular slope, I'm going to be using opposite reciprocal. So this will be the one for part B. This will be the slope for answer A. Now again, I'm using the same order pair for both. So the coordinate they gave me is going to be -4, +1. Now instead of doing point slope, I'm going to do slope-intercept. So I'm going to plug in to y equals mx plus b on both of them. This time in my order pair, the -4 is x. Instead of x1, y1, it's x and y. So 1 equals 5/3 times -4 plus b. 1 equals -20/3 plus b. I need to move the 20/3. I'm going to change the 1 again into a 3/3. So now I get 23/3 is my y-intercept. So now I take the slope that I found here and the y-intercept and put it back in. Y equals 5/3x plus 23/3. Again, WebAssign will let you enter it in as an improper fraction. See if I can write that 23 a little bit better. 23/3. Now for the perpendicular, remember it's using the opposite reciprocal. So I found it to be -3/5. So again, same ordered pair, 1 equals -3/5 times -4 plus b. I'm solving for the b first. 12/5 plus b. I'm going to change the 5. I need to move the 12/5 to the other side. I'm going to change the whole number 1 and make it 5/5 so I can subtract that fraction. And then this gives me -7/5 is my y-intercept. And now I take this y-intercept that I just found, as well as the slope, and put it back into y equals mx plus b. So y equals -3/5x minus 7/5. And this is my perpendicular equation. And then the red one was the parallel equation. Now, number 8 says to rewrite this answer from number 8 and put it into standard form. So now we'll do that one. Now again, remember, you don't have to use y equals mx plus b to get your equation. You could put it into point slope, distribute, and get it back into this form. No matter which method you use, you still get the same answer. All right, so let's fix this, and let's put this into standard form now. Remember, standard form cannot have fractions, and the x term needs to be positive. So I'm going to take the red one, and I want to get it into standard form. And again, remember, standard form is ax plus by equals c. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to multiply everything by 3 to clear the fraction. So once I distribute it here to the y, it becomes a 3y. When I distribute it here, the 3 cancels out of the denominator, and I'm just left with x. When I distribute it here, it just becomes 23. I now need to, now I can either move the 5x to the other side and then divide everything by -1, or if you'd rather move the 3y, you can do that. Let me just move the 5x because we want to get it on the left anyways. Doesn't matter which way you do this. I'm going to move the 5x. I get -5x plus 3y equals 23. Remember, this number in front of x must be positive, so divide everything by -1. So in standard form, 5x minus 3y equals -23. We can do the same thing to the other one. Put the blue one in standard form. So here was my blue perpendicular answer. Again, I'm going to clear the fraction. So I'm going to multiply everything by 5. This becomes 5y equals -3x minus 7. All I need to do is add the 3x. Oh, and everything's positive and beautiful. 3x plus 5y equals -7. So just a different form of that perpendicular equation, and this is standard form. So this is writing equations of lines.